What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So today we are talking some big nasty lumens in the way of this big nasty TLR9 from Streamlight. So this one is a little bit slimmer, but a little bit longer, as you can tell, because this is currently on a Glock 34 slided factory frame, and it's long. So this version is a, like I said, slimmer, longer version, 1000 lumens, still uses two of those CR123 batteries, but instead of kind of going on there on the sides, like say the TLR1 or TLR1HL, they're just in line. So kind of more like, I guess, the TLR7 and the TLR7A, but since there's two of them, they obviously had to make that body a little bit longer. So that 1000 lumens seems to be the benchmark today for what everybody is fighting for when it comes to like that full-size weapon light, or even some of the more compact ones, depending on the brand. A 1.5 hour runtime and a full-size weapon like this is definitely a benchmark as well. Everybody seems to want to be at a minimum of an hour for the runtime at that max lumen rating that they have. But let's talk about lumens for a second, because there is a big difference between 1000 lumens and what's called candela. Now, candela is basically your usable light, and this one is rated at 1000 lumens, which seems to be what the market really kind of rates everything up front for marketing purposes. But the candela is really where it's at. And to kind of try to explain this to you, think about like a car engine, if you're into cars or anything like that. Although you may have this big block Chevy motor, big block Ford motor, or Mopar, whatever you're into, that may be capable of a ton of horsepower, just like this light is capable of a ton of light output. If you don't have the right turbocharger, the right supercharger, whatever performance modification you want to do on it, in this one it would be the reflector housing, the depth, the angle that it's at, all those things come into play. That engine is capable of over 1000 horsepower very easily, but without the appropriate bolt-on modifications, you may not get that end result. Same thing with lights. Just because it has that lumen rating, which is the rating at the LED, and it's capable of mass amounts of light, the technology going into the actual reflector housing, the beam pattern, the depth of it, and how it, floods and spills and all that stuff, that has to do with the actual usable candela. It can get confusing. There's a ton of research out there on that stuff, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick overall of kind of what the basic gross overall differences between candela and lumens are. Just always think, that candela is more of your actual usable light rather than the raw horsepower at the LED diode inside the light. You guys are into learning about these lights or anything like this to figure out what you need for your personal setups, go ahead and light that subscribe button up, like the video, and definitely turn the bell notification icons on. Let's go ahead and roll into some low light, no light footage here, and this is going to be in my home because that's where most of us are going to be using or wanting a light like this. Yes, they are very good for open areas as well, but this is a realistic scenario that I can come up with here in my house because it's very difficult to me to get to a range to shoot at night and then take video for you, because where I do shoot at night, I'm not allowed to have a camera there. All right, so we are in about as no light as possible as I can get it here in my house, and what I'm going to do is, you probably can't see my night sights because it is super dark and the camera doesn't pick them up well when it's this dark because of focus points. We are going to go ahead and dump a corner after I activate this light into a room so you guys can get a really good idea on a pretty good sized room what this light floods like. So I'll go ahead and activate it and we will dump this corner. So you can see from there, backing out. Now that wall right there that light is on from the hallway is about 29 feet away from where I am currently standing, and you can see the hot spot and the spill into this room, and if you worked this corner like that, what it would actually look like. Okay, let's go ahead and move to a long hallway. Now the wall we're going to be taking a look at here is going to be approximately 47 feet away, just shy of that. Again, I'm going to put the gun right next to the camera lens so you can see what's going on. You just saw my night sights pop off because of focus right there. So when I light this up, you will see this is a long hallway, and that wall right there in the back with the shade and shutter is going to be approximately 47 feet away. And then I have some mirrors right here on this wall that we will get right into so you can see the flashback, of what 1000 lumens coming back at you in a mirror looks like. But for sakes of spill, let's check this room right here. So if we activate our light, it's on. We can see if we turn this corner and kind of pie off here, We can see how much light is going to be in this room, how it's going to spill around the corners. And again, we'll go this way, and you can see that spill and that beam pattern coming into focus like that in a very long hallway against what is a very long wall back into the corner. So I hope that gives you guys a really good idea of how this activates. We'll do that one more time. You can see how the activation camera will come into focus on that long wall, how it spills into a room moving, how it would flash back off of white paint, and then if you're spilling a corner, how it floods the room with light and has that nice, tight, hot spot. Now that you've kind of seen how this thing performs at some of those distances inside a room, you saw the bounce off that mirror, and you saw a pretty good distance of roughly 46 feet through a hallway into the kitchen area of my home. You really see how this light spills, kind of how it floods, and you can kind of see that reflection. Now that you've seen that, let's really dive into the specs on this thing to kind of get you guys a comparison. And I will have a couple of the other Streamlight offerings there, but we'll check this thing out right now. All right, we're going to jump into this TLR9 here by Streamlight. And we've got a couple of other Streamlight offerings out here. There's some of my more favorite lights from them. And we're going to talk about these first of all. Obviously, we're going to compare it to the TLR1 HL, which is a light that a lot of us out there use. I've used TLR1 series lights for a very long time. So we'll put this switch to switch here so you guys can get a really good view of the length difference in these lights, side-by-side comparison here. We can see there is a pretty good amount of length distance from switch to front cap here, and that's the trade-off here. So if we look at this from a different angle, we can see that trade-off is the TLR1 is obviously quite a bit bigger around in profile than this new TLR9 is, but you are gaining some length. So you can see they have the different activation switches here on the back as compared to the TLR1 series, which are the toggle switches like this, which are pretty good. I've never had issues with those. And you have other ones that are the side push buttons right here, like on this TLR7 right there. And then below that is the TLR7A, the new one with the flex buttons here. Honestly, these are the best ones. I prefer the high mount switches on these lights. I really do. So the TLR9 having these high mount switches, I find to be, for me, the option that I like to go with. It seems to fit my hands and my activation easy. So talking about the activation, pretty simple, guys. Most of you guys in the lights know this. So quick tap on the Streamlight lights is going to be constant on, and then tap and hold is going to be for however long you hold it. We do not have the 10 tap on this version, but it is probably going to come at some point. I'm just assuming because, you know, Streamlight has it on every other light. As far as available options, they have this switch, they have the low switch, they have the rifle kit for it, so you can put this light on a rifle if you're so inclined to do so. But you can see that length gain. Now this is a Glock 34 build that I'm doing based around that rival arm slide, which is quite sexy. I will have that coming soon, but you can get a really good idea of just how long that is, because it comes quite literally right out to the end flush with a Glock 34 style barrel. Now let's talk about the big specs on this thing right here. Like I said, 1000 lumens, 283 meter beam, 1.5 hour range, 1.5 hour runtime. You do get your different grommets like this right here to fit multiple different styles of rails, because Glock has a different rail. You got the 1913 rail, you got the SIG rail, and they are different lengths from trigger guard, which is why you get that package of them in there. So it will fit a great many style of rails that are out there. Obviously you have the ambidextrous switches on there side to side. Fits in the existing light bearing holsters, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. IPX7 waterproof, 1 meter for 30 minutes. Now I've always told people, if you and your gun and your light are underwater 1 meter for 30 minutes, you got bigger issues than whether your light's going to work when you come up out of water, because your lungs are going to be full. So solid stuff here. 2 batteries, like I said, 3.39 inches in length. Overall, 4.32 ounces. A little bit of a pickup there, like I said. Solid light though. So let's go ahead and we'll talk a little bit about those holsters, the difference between Lumens and Candela a little bit more. Usable light, and my kind of overall thoughts about this, because it's a solid performer. Let's wrap this up. At the end of the day, how does this really compare to the others? Now the TLR9 is a new offering for 2020. I first saw this at SHOT Show, contacted the Streamlight people, and they did send this out to the channel for me to check out and kind of do a review on. I'm not sponsored by them, I don't get paid by them to do reviews, But I was really interested in this light because it's different than what they have been offering. The batteries go in line rather than side to side on their other lights that are for full-size guns, the TLR9 So this one, as you saw up close, it's sleeker, but it's longer. It fits the profile of your gun a little bit better than the TLR1 does, but it's really going to come down to just what you are into. It has most of the same functions besides that 10-tat, if you're into having a strobe or anything like that, which I'm sure they'll probably integrate later. But for me, I do like the profile, and I really do like the switches on this one a little bit better than the TLR1, and I really like these switches on that TLR7A. So that actual beam pattern is tight, but it still does give a good amount of spill, as you saw in those videos. And that's pretty much what I am looking for in a light. If I need to blind somebody, I can, but I need that light to also flood a room. Should I be coming around a corner, if it's very tight, or going into a closet from another area, I need to be able to see and maneuver and be able to see what's off to my left and right, because if you've ever been in a commercial building search or a residential building search, some places have some really weird corners and some really weird layouts, and you need that beam to blind or that beam to see distance, but you also need that spill out to the sides to make out everything that's in that room or whatever you're being faced with at the time. It has all of those other ratings like the IPX7 stuff, everything you would expect from the Streamlight brand. If it follows suit with any of the other Streamlight products, it's going to be a product that's going to last you for years. I've had Streamlight lights that lasted me 8 to 10 years that I got rid of, one because the switch finally died, the other one because it was just completely outdated in the amount of light that it put out. For my people out there thinking of using this for work, it does fit in my current selection of Safariland holsters, whether it was the 7TS tactical version, the RDS holster, and kind of that standard 6390. It fit in all of them without issue. So if you buy a 17 and you have this light on it, it will fit. It also fit, if you have like a 34, it will fit in there. But obviously it's not going to fit the shorter holsters like the 19 because it's just too long in the end. And then on the size note of it, if you want to make the swaps, completely up to you. Like I said, it is a little bit thinner, but it is quite a bit longer than the TLR1 HL. And that TLR1 HL is now at 1,000 lumens as well. So you may or may not want a thinner profile, or you may just want to stick with what you already have and upgrade later on down the road when the next greatest thing comes out. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about the TLR9 light here. It's definitely a good setup out there. It's just a little bit different. Some people said it kind of looks like an alien. I guess it might look good on a longer gun. I played with it on my 1911 and I played with it on 17 and this 34 build that I'm doing. You guys go out there, get some good range time in, be sparing with your practice ammo because it seems to be none of us are going to be able to buy ammo anytime soon unless you got the hookup. I'll put links for all this stuff down below for you. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel, like the video if you thought the content was good, and definitely turn the bell notification icon on. When it comes down to your light systems, I want to know, what brand do you trust most? Are you a Streamlight guy? Are you a Surefire guy? You like the N4 stuff, or are you going for those budget-friendly O-lights these days? You guys get out there and have some fun because this ain't no practice life, like I said before. I will see you guys on the next one.